So welcome everyone to another review as read. Today we'll be talking about The Death of Superman by DC Comics, and today I'll be talking about the compilation graphic novel, which is basically the compilation you can get of all these several comics which make the story arc of The Death of Superman. So today we go through the same process. We'll talk about what the book's about, the cons, the pros, and a conclusion. So The Death of Superman is obviously about the death of Superman. And his fight against his biggest nemesis up to that point, which was basically Doomsday. So that's basically the basic story of the book. Today I'll be reviewing this book firstly to say as a standalone comic. I know this book comes with a ton of baggage due to what happened afterwards, starting a trend of basically killing off superheroes, big time superheroes, and basically them just being revived. Which is, I agree myself, is a horrible, horrible thing which just takes away from the character and stories. But again, we'll be reviewing this as a total standalone comic. And to put my biasness out there, Superman is my favorite character. I think he's my moral center along with Optimus Prime. And also I have even done a video on Superman as my moral center. Links below if you wish to watch that. And also actually with my university degree, I actually wrote a whole entire essay on Superman. So I am pretty much a pretty big fan of the character. Just put it out there. So use that when you're considering my views. So let's get into it. Firstly, let's talk about the cons of the book. All right, the cons of the book is basically being a comic at the time it was written. There are a lot of inconsistencies with these stories. The realism sometimes is pretty weak, and there are plot holes here and there, which give you an example. At a point where Blue Beetle basically gets his plane or his craft basically hit by Doomsday, and it somehow crashes. But here's the thing: it's not like Doomsday basically hit the plane. He took a piece of wood, a tree, and he threw it. This is the scene right here. Blue Beetle is moving his plane across, and Doomsday picks up a tree trunk, a whole entire tree, and it basically smashes Blue Beetle's entire craft. If you ever took wood and you hit metal, you know that doesn't work that way. And I'm considering that Blue Beetle's entire craft here was probably made to withstand even munitions. So again, you can argue that Doomsday threw it at supersonic speeds and all that, but if you threw it at supersonic speed, wouldn't the thing burn up the wood or just splinter away? And if you're not convinced by that, the other inconsistency is considering that Doomsday was able to take out Supergirl with one punch. Somehow Blue Beetle manages to survive the beating that Doomsday does to him. And along with Booster Gold without his force field. So again, it's one of those things that is just inconsistent with the world as it is. So take into consideration, that is basically the con that I will have for the book. The one big con. But then again, I just to reflect on that straight away, this is a strange part of it. When I just put it out there, when the book is good and storyline is good, you forgive certain things like this. It's certain mistakes that the thing does. Just like if a movie was made well, even though you might spot, let's say like in Braveheart, if you look really hard, you can see when they're charging, they wear sneakers. You forgive it. Whereas if a movie was bad, all you want to do is point out every mistake it makes. This is where this story just is that amazing, where there are these inconsistencies, but somehow you don't really want to concentrate, because that's actually not what the book's about. And with that, let's transition along to basically the pro of the book. The pros of the book, and the first thing, the story. It's an absolutely wonderful story. The tension is kept exactly right. Well, again, never use absolute. It's done very well, basically. From the first punch that Superman gives to Doomsday to the last, basically, you can see how much the change in the beating the Superman takes. This is basically the first punch and the first contact between the two. And you transition that along the book to the last one, you really do see the damage that Superman takes, then the constant reminder about how much he never thought he'll feel. He never was this tired or in pain, or he, you know, and all these things minus kryptonite, but this is the first time it's a straight up, this is Superman at his best being taken out, basically. And the other important point is this strange thing where the dream fight that people had all the time was Superman versus the Hulk. Now think about it. All right, this is the Hulk. This is the fight that you always wanted, you know. And in case you're not convinced, again, think about it. In many times when they were probing, psychically, Doomsday is mine, and even Superman talks about this. Somehow, Doomsday is totally, his head is filled with rage, and he gets stronger as he gets more angry. Think about which other character in the comic world does that. It's the Hulk, and he's dressed in green. I mean, later on he's gray, but come on, he starts off green. And another important point, Superman flies, and he says many times that Doomsday doesn't fly. He jumps at with extreme strength, and basically is also invulnerable to a certain extent. So I think another superhero does that. It's basically the Hulk. So this is that fight. This is that magical fight everybody always wanted, of the Hulk versus Superman. Alright? And it's right here. And so the storyline's good, and you got the Hulk versus Superman's storyline, basically. And the art is actually also nice. It's fantastic, really, because this is basically my favorite Superman art in the regular comics. My favorite Superman art is the Kingdom Come and the Justice comics ones. But this one is my favorite in the regular comics. I just feel it's more well proportioned and less cartoony, a little more realistic in a way. So the art's also fantastic. And the most important thing, it does not forget, even though this is a fight to the death of Superman, that they did not forget that the important part, that thing that made Superman interesting from his earlier iterations, is that the moral center. Because how many times can you write a good story for an invulnerable character? It's the morality of it, And this book has that in spades. Like the best one, I would say, is the point which, right here, where Superman, it shows the decision that he has to he has to make. Basically, that either he stopped Doomsday and stopped the hundreds of deaths that could happen, or even thousands of deaths that could happen if he reaches Metropolis, or he saves this one family, basically of 3 people, and that decision he makes. And I feel, in fact, that was one of the points where I wrote in one of the essays I wrote about Superman, and that one also included Spider-Man. But it's that decision he's made, the moral center. Like, how does he choose? He, even though he's Superman, he can't make all the perfect decision, and he has to choose a certain kind of morality, and so the book doesn't forget that. There's a ton of his morality and how much sacrifice does Superman do, and that is front and center right here. So that's the important part, and they don't forget it. So that's actually the reason why I like this story so much also, is that it does not forget that the story of Superman is not about his superpowers. It's about him as a person. And I must say, when I read this, when you see Superman die, and that's how good the tension and the pacing of the story is, that when you see, if you're a fan of Superman, you see that last page, I won't admit openly, I shed a tear. It was that good, it's that powerful. And again, that's the point where you see the morality and the decisions that Superman makes, that only if that much investment into the character is done in the story does it make you shed a tear, and this book has done that. It has achieved that. So in conclusion, basically, if you're a Superman fan, there's no doubt you gotta read this story. You gotta get it. If you're not a Superman fan, the story is still good. I don't know if it might still have the same impact on you, but I feel that the moral stories and all that are self-contained, and you do get a sense of it. So, maybe it won't have as much an impact on you if you're not a Superman fan, but still a good read. I cannot recommend this book enough. I think it's a great book, a great graphic novel, good art, good story, and the best superhero out there. There you go. Thank you very much. Till next word.